Dear viewers, welcome to another edition of the Cryptoverse Weekly Report. After last week's impressive rally, Bitcoin faced intense resistance around $69,000, leading to a mini correction, with the leading currency falling towards $65,000 on Wednesday. But as it seems, that pullback have been short-lived, despite predictions by some analysts that BTC could dip into the low 50K zone and possibly deeper before resuming its path to a new price record. The minuses have therefore been annulled, and Bitcoin has stabilized between $67,000 and $68,000, and at the time of the recording of this video, it is less than 10% away from its price record, and such a move in the crypto world is a piece of cake. And today, among other things, we bring you. After falling to $65K, Bitcoin has bounced back to levels between $67,000 and $68,000. Is the correction behind us? Despite the factors that put pressure on the price, there are a whole bunch of signals that the market is ready for a new jump. In 10 business days, American spot ETFs removed Bitcoins worth almost $3 billion from the market. BTC whales aggressively accumulate the leading crypto. Is a supply shock on the horizon? Altcoins are still overshadowed by Bitcoin and are waiting for the start of their season. So, let's start the report. Is the correction really behind us? Was Wednesday's pullback to $65,000 the maximum downside that the leading crypto will experience before attacking a new all-time high? This is quite easily possible if there is no stronger rejection from the level of $69K, which represents a record from the previous bull cycle of 2021, but also a robust resistance zone where, it seems, investors are ready to sell, thus take profit, which inevitably destroys the price. And although there was some dissatisfaction on the part of traders that the price of BTC did not break through $69,000 and turn that level into support, we should not forget that Bitcoin, at least from the current technical perspective, came out of the 6-month consolidation and since August 5th has been constantly recording higher price highs and lows, which is a characteristic of a rising trend. With that in mind, a new local top could be here as soon as tomorrow. This October has not yet justified its Uptober epithet, considering that the plus is currently only 7%, compared to the average yield of 21%. But there is almost a week left until the end of October, and that is not a negligible time horizon. So, there could still be some very pleasant surprises by the month's closure. Despite some factors putting pressure on the price, such as a strong dollar, rising U.S. Treasury yields, gold jumping to new records, which distracts from BTC, and of course profit-taking, there are a whole host of very positive signals that reinforce the narrative that a bounce of prices is imminent, that the fundamentals are getting stronger, and that the market is ready. For example, data from traditional markets, specifically from the technology sector, show that NVIDIA, a manufacturer of memory chips, reported a record quarterly profit. Tesla, another major player in the U.S. technology industry, saw its shares rise 17%, after Elon Musk announced that the company's revenue could grow by as much as 30% in 2025. Excellent results, especially from the biggest tech companies, have been quite important to the movement of the Bitcoin price lately, considering the correlation of BTC with the capital markets in the US. This, of course, points to the entry of the leading crypto into the financial mainstream, and to the fact that two once completely different asset classes are now driven by the same macroeconomic variables. And speaking of those macro variables, they are another source of optimism. Namely, bets that the U.S. Federal Reserve will again cut interest rates at its meeting on November 7th have risen to a high of 95%, according to the data from CME Group's FedWatch tool. As with any asset, the key is growth in the amount of capital that investors are willing to invest in a purchase, and there is no shortage of that at the moment. Capital is indeed flowing into Bitcoin at lightning speed, and since March, when BTC reached its current price record of approximately $73,700, it is unprecedented. From the 11th of this month, ending with this Thursday, so in just 10 business days, American ETFs bought Bitcoins worth almost $3 billion. Let us repeat, $3 billion worth of Bitcoins was bought in just 10 business days. It sounds a lot, but again, in a way abstract. So for the sake of illustration, let's put it in perspective. If we consider that the average price at which ETFs bought Bitcoin was $65,000, this means that more than 46,000 pieces of the leading cryptocurrency were removed from the market. That is 4,600 per day. Let us remind you that after the halving, miners mine only 450 new Bitcoins per day, and it is probably clear to everyone what this disproportion between demand and supply means for the price. If this number of inflows into ETFs continues, a shortage and supply shock is on the horizon, and the moment where there will simply be no available Bitcoins is approaching, at least not at the current price. Let us not forget that there will never be more than 21 million BTCs, as devised by Satoshi Nakamoto in the code, precisely to eliminate the possibility of printing new units, as central banks around the globe usually do very successfully. Accordingly, the total supply of Bitcoins on centralized exchanges fell by over 41,000 units last week, to a new multi-year low of around 2.39 million units. And that something is brewing, that Bitcoin could be preparing for a jump, is also shown by the fact that the so-called whales do not stop buying despite the price being close to the record. And not only are they hoarding, but they are doing it more and more vigorously. In particular, there has never been such a massive, aggressive, and sudden buying of BTC by whales in history, which can be seen in this CryptoQuant graph. The purple line represents the new wallets of such entities holding more than 1,000 Bitcoins. According to Glassnode, the number of such investors rose to 1,678 at the beginning of the week. Incidentally, whales play a key role in the valuation of BTC due to their ability to influence liquidity and price, and this accumulation indicates their confidence in the long-term value of Bitcoin and the expectation of growth, of course. And on Friday, the news that Microsoft could be involved in the purchase of the leading crypto also echoed. And that would indeed be a big price catalyst, but also a symbolically potentially important event. Namely, Microsoft's shareholders will vote on December 9th on whether the company should invest in Bitcoin. Admittedly, the top tier of the company recommends shareholders to vote against that proposal. But we should not forget that among the three largest shareholders of Microsoft is BlackRock, the manager of the largest spot BTC ETF, IBIT. So, surprises at the assembly are definitely not impossible. And how much exactly that growth could be is one of the favorite topics of speculation. Crossing the magic threshold of $100,000 is often mentioned, and while that level is a perfectly legitimate goal for this cycle, despite a historically good last quarter in halving years like this one, it seems unlikely that it will be reached in 2024, at least judging by the globally dominant BTC derivatives exchange, Deribit. Considering how the options are set, on Deribit, only 9.5% of derivatives traders believe in reaching that price this year. On the other hand, UK-based multinational bank Standard Chartered predicts that Bitcoin could be worth as much as $125,000 by the end of the year if the Republican Party would dominate the United States Congress after the November 5th election. Chartered's Jeff Kendrick predicts that BTC will reach around $73,000 by the election. If Donald Trump is elected for his second term, Kendrick believes that BTC will rise about 4% after the results are announced and 10% within the next few days. If current Vice President Kamala Harris is elected president, Kendrick says that BTC will trade lower for a while, but end the year at around $75,000. Some other market players, such as BlackRock's CEO Larry Fink, believe that BTC will grow strongly regardless of the election results. The U.S. election on November 5th, along with a likely rate cut 2 days later, are seen as the two most significant growth catalysts, together with inflows into ETFs. And not only if Donald Trump wins. Simply put, the end of the election will eliminate the uncertainty that investors do not like at all, which should favor the positives in the entire crypto market. And as for the rest of the market of alts, it is still mostly dormant compared to the strong dominance of Bitcoin. Since the dominance of Bitcoin has reached the psychological resistance level of around 59%, some experts believe that a turnaround is on the horizon, which should favor the altcoin space, or at least lead to a mini alt season. However, some others, for example Hashkey Capital analysts, believe that alts will come alive only when BTC surpasses $80,000 and claim that for the beginning of the altcoin season, the dominance of Bitcoin will probably have to reach between 62 and 70%. Whether such dominance is possible considering the number of alts in the crypto space remains questionable, but the real takeoff of altcoins is in any case expected. As for this week's performance, the king of smart contracts, Ethereum, or its Ether, continues to stumble, not only in relation to Bitcoin, whose capitalization is now $1 trillion higher than Ether for the first time, but also in relation to its main rival, Solana. At the time of the recording of this video, Ether is in the weekly minus of 3.4% at $2,530. Ethereum is still recovering from a sharp drop in revenue after Denkun's network upgrade in March reduced transaction fees by approximately 95% and further pushed users towards its Layer 2 solutions, which has been called a cannibalistic strategy. And Solana continues to outperform the broader market. With a weekly plus of almost 14%, Sol is the leading top crypto by returns. No wonder, given the on-chain metrics, which are fantastic. The total locked-in value, or TVL, on Solana has grown from less than $250 million in early 2023 to roughly more than $6.8 billion today. Solana's rise, along with blockchain's excellent performance in terms of transaction speed and price, has been aided by the success of memes and related platforms such as Pump.Fun and Moonshot. Meanwhile, XRP is down 4% for the week so far, and we probably shouldn't expect stronger price action either up or down before the court case between XRP issuer Ripple and the U.S. regulator, the Securities and Exchange Commission, SEC, ends. Doge is up slightly by 3.7%, primarily due to the exposure of its chief promoter, Elon Musk, in the Trump campaign. Tron recorded a plus of 4.7%, and TON a minus of 3.1%. Interestingly, ADA has practically not moved at all, despite the intriguing news that Bitcoin liquidity could flow into Cardano through a new integration with Bitcoin OS, that is through the BTC bridge. As Cardano founder Charles Hoskinson wrote on Twitter, the project is not only a bridge, but also a brain that aims to take Bitcoin into the world of DeFi, GameFi, and smart contracts, the areas previously inaccessible to the leading cryptocurrency. Such a new development fits perfectly with Cardano's vision of mass adoption and innovation, previously described by Hoskinson, and at the same time could provide an easy way to expand Bitcoin's utility, while it could also be the much-needed catalyst to finally get ADA up and running. And so, with Cardano, we have come to the end of another Cryptoverse weekly report. If you liked the video, please give it a like, leave a comment, and we would also greatly appreciate if you click subscribe. Thank you for following. Kind regards for this week.